It's a big day for Tesla. Tesla's starting to trade in the S&P. Its market cap over $600 billion. That makes it the sixth largest company in the S&P. For more on this, we want to bring in Craig Irwin. He's a Roth Capital Analyst. And Craig, great to have you on the show. Let's just start with Tesla's performance so far today. We have shares off just around 5% right now. So we're under a bit of pressure. Just what do you think today as it heads into the S&P and what this means for Tesla going forward?
So obviously the buy side is treating this as a negative catalyst, and all the funds, the index funds that have the opportunity to accumulate in advance of an index addition have basically done so. So many of the funds will be on the sidelines waiting probably as long as they can to accumulate the rest of the shares they have to. Some of them have a month, some of them have a full quarter. And yeah, it's $80 billion gross in buying, but this is, the catalyst is over. And now we have to look back to, is Tesla actually executing? It's being valued as a, well, I'm thinking teleportation company, but really autonomous company, full self-driving company. And, are they really executing there? If you look at the videos online from the different users in the betas, I wouldn't say so. I think it's very buggy. So I would agree with the last guest that we probably have a bumpy ride in 2021.
Craig, it's Brian Chung here. I mean, if you wouldn't put past Elon Musk, maybe they will be a teleportation company at some point, at least an aspiration. But I want to ask on that point then, if the argument is that the news was bought when the index was going to add Tesla as opposed to the day where it actually joined, what's explaining the sell-off going on right now? I guess, well, not sell-off, but 5% is pretty noticeable. What's going on there?
So this is not a surprise. This is something that's been known about for several months. So you see surprise moves to the upside on surprise additions. This is something that's been thoroughly hashed and rehashed and dissected and redissected. And, I think it's behind us. So at this point, we move back to fundamentals. How big is this fourth quarter? And does it matter for, this being a $600 billion market cap company, more than most of the global automotive producers combined? Do they really operate in a vacuum? Will they really have no competition? Because that's the way the stock's being valued. And, as I've been saying for a long time, I think people are better off in a variety of other alternative names throughout the EV universe.
Craig, going back to what you said before, just about volatility, I think the question going forward, yes, we're probably going to see swings like we are today in the stock, but the degree of that volatility, do you think Tesla is going to be as volatile as it has been in the past now that it's in the S&P?
I would expect so. I mean, S&P will smooth some of that out, but this is a name that retail loves, and a ton of the managers on the buy side love this, right? Many of them don't necessarily own it in their funds; they own it in their PAs, so they're kind of maybe behaving a little bit like retail. It's a trading stock, so it's a darling. It's a name we love to talk about. It's one that's always entertaining. Mr. Musk is a big personality. So I think the volatility stays. And I think, things that come out on Twitter and from competitors and from the whole spectrum of sources of information are likely to continue to drive good volatility in the stock. I just think, overall the trend is likely to turn a little bit negative in 2021.
Craig, let's talk about financing for Tesla. I mean, the story about them getting added to the S&P 500 with the S&P's criteria about profitability is a bit, I guess, of a vindication for their performance. But at the same time, we know that they have a lot of outstanding debt. You've listed refinancing and repayment as a risk facing their business model going forward. What's the status and where you see their financing angle of things going forward in Tesla's story?
I don't see any issue for Tesla around financing. I think if they want to issue equity for plants or expansion or new investment initiatives, there's going to be no hesitation from shareholders. I don't think there's any issue at all for them to raise debt at rock bottom levels. Tesla has a lot of options because of their technology leadership, their aggressive first mover position. But it's opening the door for a ton of other companies in the whole sector to pursue financing at attractive rates. And that's why we're seeing so many of these SPAC IPOs. That's why we're going to see many more interesting things in autonomous and related technologies in 2021.
Craig, I want to bring up something that you mentioned here in your latest note. You said that future growth in Tesla's sales depends on consumer adoption and acceptance of electric vehicles. I'm curious just what you believe to be the potential adoption rates for Tesla going forward, and then some of the challenges that the company could face because of that.
So I am on the conservative side versus my peers out there, right? I've been watching EVs for many years. I worked in the battery industry many years ago. And, I think if you take some of the more conservative groups out there, like Ward's Automotive, you're looking at single-digit millions of EVs within the next, give or take 5 years. There are others out there that forecast, things in the 20s or 30s. I think this industry will be wildly successful with, say, 5 to 10 million EVs sold. If that's the case, Tesla has a strong ramp ahead, but maybe not as steep as many would want. And let's remind ourselves, that Tesla's having a hard time making their 500,000 unit bogey for this year. They're doing everything they can. They very well may make it. But it's only 500,000 units, and it's a 60 million unit global market. There's still a very small piece of the pie.
All right, Craig Irwin, always great to have you on the program, analyst at Roth Capital. Thanks so much for joining the show today.